Good morning. We'll start with just 2 minutes of summarization of the last class lecture. So, in the last class, we have seen about um, priority queue. So, what do you mean by priority scheduling? Priority scheduling means where we'll be having priority scheduling is a special case of general priority scheduling algorithm. A priority is associated with each process and the CPU is allocated to the process with high priority. If there are two processes where there are equal priority, then which one should take the processor first? First come, first serve order. And what is SJF, shortest job first priority? So where the priority is nothing but it's nothing but uh, it's burst time. Smaller the burst time, higher the priority. So priority status is normally treated as lower the number, the higher the priority. And we have seen two examples, one with non-primitive uh, priority queue algorithm, and one more was this is what we have seen. We were having five processors, and they've given the burst time and the priority queue. And first thing, any algorithm you consider, what was the first thing we have to do? We have to first thing, 1 second. Okay. So in any of the example, so what you have to do is they'll give you some processors. It may be, it is the processors are not fixed, it will be variable. So they may give 2, 3, 4, 5, any number of processors. And they'll give you the table and they'll give you the question, something like this. So what is your thing is based on the question, you see, read the question properly, then you see, first understand what type of algorithm you have to apply for a given problem. Then you draw Gantt chart. So something like this. So what is Gantt chart? You have to say which process is taking how much time, what is the waiting time, what is the completion time. Then you have to write for each process, you have to write separately what is waiting time for each process. Then finally calculate the waiting time. Then calculate the average turnaround time, then throughput. So that was for a non-primitive priority queue, and this was for primitive priority queue. Primitive means what is non-primitive and primitive? So non-primitive means which will not leave the CPU unless it completes its work. That is non-primitive. So primitive means if though it is not completed, it will be coming out of the CPU. That's what is called as a primitive. So in this case, in this example, we have applied a primitive priority scheduling algorithm. So here arrival time is given. In the earlier example, we were having only two burst time in the priority queue, whereas in this case, we even have a arrival time. And we have drawn a Gantt chart and we have calculated the waiting time for all the four processors. And after calculating each waiting time, calculate the average waiting time. Then calculate the turnaround time. So for each process, we have four, calculate that. So that's what we have done in the last class. And we have seen starvation and the aging. So what is starvation? Starvation means if one process have a low priority, and suppose let us assume all high priorities are only coming the low rather than the low priority one, the top one only will be executing and this low one has to wait. So how long to wait? Because higher priorities are getting the CPU time. Because I am lower priority, I'm not getting any time, any CPU time. So in that case, that process is called as a starvation. And what is aging? Aging is where we try to solve try to solve this problem of starvation. So in aging, what we do, let us assume 1 hour I was waiting. I didn't get the CPU time. So after that, what I'll do, suppose if I assume that my priority queue is 10, and after 1 hour waiting also I will not get CPU. Then what I'll do, I'll increment my priority from 10 to 9. So after 1 hour also I'll wait. Then also if I won't get my turn for CPU, then again I'll increment to 8. So like this incrementing will be done. That's what is called as a age. So next algorithm we see about a round robin scheduling. So what is this? A round? Round means what? Keep moving, like a circle. So completed, go back, completed, go back. That's what the meaning of round. Robin means where it goes on. So you'll be knowing in a sheaving machine, we have something called as a robin. So what that will be doing is it will be moving on with a thread for sheaving. So they've given something like this. Robin is the name of the person given to this type of algorithm. Okay, scheduling, it's same thing. So now we come back. What is round robin algorithm? This algorithm is designed for time sharing system. So what is time sharing? So take our timetable. So what we are doing in timetable, 1 hour slot is being given for each staff. So what is that 1 hour? That is what time. I cannot take 2 hours because my timetable is only for 1 hour. After 1 hour, I have to leave the classroom. Same way here also, round robin is what it is doing is it will be given time, anytime. So for us, for class we have given 1 hour. So it is not restricted. We can even schedule for half an hour. Half an hour my class, another half an hour another staff, another half an hour. Like this, the time is not fixed. So the same way here also, the time sharing system. But time is the criteria where it will be applied. Okay, it is similar like first come first serve, but a time quantum is introduced. So in round robin also, who comes first, that will be the process which will get the CPU time. Though along with this, what is the other thing is time. So time will be set in a CPU until unless that time the process will be executing. If the time within that time the process is able to complete, fine. If it is not able to complete within the given time, it will be popped out from the CPU. Then it is been attached to the tail of the ready queue. This is the concept of round robin scheduling. Okay, the same explanation is given in this slide. The CPU, that's what this algorithm is designed for, time sharing system. It is similar to first come first serve, but the time quantum is introduced. The CPU will be given to the processor for 1 unit of time quantum. So that's what here 1 unit of time quantum will be fixed for CPU. It is not that always 1 unit. So 1 unit of time means you can assume anything. So let us come back. We have in the next slide, in the next sentence. After that, the process will be pre-emitted and added back to the ready queue. So that's what it is. The CPU will be fixed for 1 unit time. So if that process is not completed within that unit time, it will be pre-emitted and added back to the ready queue. Okay, then ready queue will behave as a circular queue. So you would have seen in your data structure, what is circular queue? Circular queue means it keeps going. It will be like a circle where if it is not completed, it will come back. If it is not completed, come back. Same way here, round robin is also similar like your circular queue. The scheduler will go around the ready queue and allocate CPU for each process for a time interval of a 1 quantum time. So the value of the time quantum, we have just told 1 quantum. 1 quantum means what? It can be, we may fix. That's what I told. The classes can be fixed half an hour or 1 hour based on the rules of the college. Same way here, 1 quantum means what? It can be 10 milliseconds to 100 milliseconds. You can fix anything. You can say 100. You can start from 1 also. No one is restricting you. But what is the thing is, you're saying what is the time given for the CPU to complete any job. That is what is called as a 1 quantum time. Okay. So now, so to do this, we have two possibilities. So one is the process will not be completed in one quantum time. Then the next, then the context switch. Sorry, The context switching will happen and the current process is kept back to the tail of the ready queue. That's what we have seen. And the next process is ready queue is picked and allotted to the CPU. The process will be completed within the duration of one time. Then the process will give up the CPU voluntarily. Suppose, okay. So we are taking 1 hour of time, 1 hour of class, each staff is taking. Suppose let us assume that I have taken half an hour, and after taking half an hour, maybe very seriously I'm not able to take, maybe due to some health issues. Then what I'll do, I'll come out of the class and I'll say that please I'm not keeping well. Other staff, I may go and request other staff, please can you go and carry on. So what is that? I'm leaving. Same way here also. The process will be completed within the duration of one time quantum. If that is fixed before fixing one time, if you complete before only, then you can leave. That's what here. Then the next process is ready in the ready queue will be picked up for the execution. Okay. So round robin, we'll see with the example. I think that will be clear. Okay. Take example here. So what is the, how many process we have here? Yes, how many process we have? Can anyone?
Three, ma'am.
3 process. Okay. What is the burst time given for each process? What is the burst time given for each process?
24, 3 and 3.
Okay, 24, 3 and 3. That's what here, this is the time. And what is the quantum time fixed here for this example? What is the quantum time fixed for this example?
4 milliseconds.
4 milliseconds. What is that 4 milliseconds is? CPU is being given. So till 4 millisecond, any process, we should be in the CPU. If after 4 milliseconds, if it is still work is not completed, then it should be pre-emitted and joined back to the CPU. Okay. So now take the same example here, considering P1, P2, P3, there are 3 processes here. And that time they require to complete their job is, first process P1, it is taking 24, P2 is taking 3, P2, P3 is taking 3 milliseconds. And what is the CPU time allotted is 4 milliseconds. Okay. So now, how do we draw the Gantt chart? How do we draw? How should we draw a Gantt chart for this? So now consider. So what is a processor time? What is a processor time fixed? How much is a processor time fixed? 4, right? Okay. First, before that, let us complete. 24 plus 3 is how much? 24 plus 3 is how much?
27.
27 plus 3 is how much?
30.
So,
30. 30.
So we start from 0 till 30 time. What we have to do? We should be in a position to complete all the 3 processes. Okay. Then what is the time we have to do? 4 milliseconds. 4 milliseconds. Yes or no? Like this, we keep dividing the time. Time slides for all. Why this 4? Because they have told the time, let the time quantum for the quantum be 4 milliseconds. Okay, now start with the P1. So what is P1 is taking? P1 is taking how much? First come, first serve, right? So now how much is the time required for P1? 24. Yes or no? First 4 P1 will be executing. Time quantum, how much we have? 24 milliseconds is required for P1 to complete. But what is the CPU time allotted for one process for some time? 4. So P1 will complete. Okay. Now P1 is completed its job after 4 milliseconds. After 4 milliseconds, P1 is completed its job? No.
No, ma'am.
No. So then what we have to do? So this P1 should bring back to the ready queue. So what? 24 minus 4 is how much? 24 minus 24 is how much? 20, right? So what is the process? P1. So P1 is completed only 4 milliseconds work. still pending is there. And the CPU time is for each process they have allotted only 4 milliseconds. Okay. So next is P2. P2 is how much is the time taken? 3. So here it will take only 3 milliseconds. This is what? P2. Yes or no? P2 it is taking. So 4 minutes is completed or no for P2? For P2, how much time is required to complete its job? Only 3. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Only 3 milliseconds is still 1 millisecond is left. 1 millisecond is left for CPU. P3 is completed, P2 is completed, it will come out. Then who should enter now? P3 should enter before because P2 is taking only 3 milliseconds. So now P3 will enter the CPU. After 3 milliseconds, P2 will come out. Still 1 more millisecond is there. Because it is completed its job, now you cannot say CPU to idle. So now P3 will enter the CPU and it will complete. So now P3 time is how much? What is the P3 time to complete its job? 3 milliseconds. So after 3 milliseconds, P3 will come out. Yes. Now again, who is left over? Whose work is not completed? P1 work is not completed. So then P1 will be given the CPU time. Yes. So like this, P1 keeps working for its job till it completes its 24 milliseconds time. Yes, clear about this? Any doubt regarding this algorithm? What is this round robin? See, what we have done, P1, we have given back to the, P1 is ended back to the CPU. Given back to the CPU. Why? Because the time for this is set to 4. How much time it is set? It is set for a 4. Okay. So now we will see the same thing in the Gantt chart. What is our first job to do to solve this? What is the first job we have to do for any given example? Draw a Gantt chart. So that's what here Gantt chart you have to draw. That's what I told. So what is P at the time 0? P1 will enter. What is the time quantum for? What is the time quantum given for the CPU? 4. So till 4 it will complete. After 4 milliseconds it should come out. Why it should come out? Because CPU time is fixed for 4 milliseconds. So after 4 milliseconds it will come out. So next process is what? P2. What is the time required for completion of P2 work? Only 3. So that's what you can see. 4 plus 3 is how much? 4 plus 3 is how much?
7.
So after 7 you can see P2 is completed its work at the time 7. After 7 millisecond, who will enter again? Which was the next process? P3. P3 is the process. After P2, P3 is the process. Okay, 7 plus 3 is how much again? 7 plus 3 is how much?
10.
So P3 will complete at time 10. Now P2 is over, P3 work is over. Now left over is who? P1. Yes or no? So you can see rest of our Gantt chart is P1 only. But 10 plus 4 is how much? 14. Again 14 plus 8 is why this 4 4 4 we have done? Because CPU time is 4. So 4. Then 14 plus 4 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. 22 plus 4 is 26. 26 plus 4 is 30. Like this we keep what we have done? We have added P1. Why? Because P1 completion time was 24. Clear about this? Okay. Note that the burst time for the process P2 and P3 are lesser than the actual time. Yes or no? Yes, in our example you can see 4 is the burst time. Burst time means what? CPU time for each process. But here P2 and P3 is what? Lesser than the CPU time. So then they will be voluntarily leaving out the job because they have completed their job and it will be given for the next job. Okay, now first thing is what? write a waiting time. So what is the waiting time? What is the waiting time for P1? How much time the P1 was waiting? How much time P1 was waiting? How do we calculate the waiting time? For P1, P1 is what? So P1 first, as soon as it is there in a ready queue, it is been given the processor time. Plus, again where it was waiting till 10 milliseconds. So 10. Next time, when did the P1 was waiting? It was waiting till 10 milliseconds. Why it was waiting? Because P2 and P3 has to complete their job. So it was waiting in a ready queue for 10 milliseconds. So in 10, out of 10 millisecond, how much time it was executing P1? How much time it was executing? It was executing 4 milliseconds. Yes or no? Yes. So in that case, 10 minus 4, yes, is equal to 6. 6 milliseconds was the waiting time for which process? For P1. Okay. Same way P2, how much was the waiting time for P2? 4. How much was the waiting time for P3? 7. Yes, clear? Clear about this? Okay. Now calculate this 6 plus 4 plus 7 divided by 3. Why 3? Number of processors. Here in our example, they have given only 3. So that is your average waiting time. So similarly, can you calculate the turnaround time for P1? What is the turnaround time for the P1? Yes, what's the turnaround time for the P1? How much is the time taken to complete the work of P1? At what time P1 will complete its job?
30.
30 milliseconds is the time to complete the P1. Okay, P2 will complete at what time?
7, ma'am.
7, ma'am.
7. And what is the time for the completion of P3?
10.
10. So that's what do I say? Gantt chart is very important. So if you're correctly doing Gantt chart, waiting time and turnaround time, it will be easy for you to calculate. Yes? Okay. Now 30 plus 7 plus 10 divided by 3, you'll get a turnaround time is 15. The throughput. What is throughput? What's the throughput? Complete time taken for all the 3 processes to complete the work. And how many processors are there? In our example, we have 3. 3 divided by how much is the complete time? 30. Divided by 30 equals to 0.1 is a throughput. Clear about this? For any given algorithm, what are the 3 things you have to calculate? You have to calculate average waiting time, average turnaround time, and throughput. So in the starting example we have done. So each process you have to write. But here in this case, because we have little bit practice, so I have not written turnaround time. So you can see in the earlier cases, we have written like this. You have to write each one separately. What is P1, what is P2 turnaround time, what is P3, what is P4. Same way, you have to write a waiting time like this. For each process separately, you have to write in your exam. But for practice, you can skip writing all this because you know how to calculate that. But in your exam, I'm stressing in your exam, you have to write separately. Waiting time separately for all the processes. How many processors are given in your example? Waiting time. Similarly, turnaround time also you have to write separately. Then calculate the average of both. Average of waiting time, average of turnaround time. Then finally you have to calculate the throughput. So in this example, because assuming that you know already how to write turnaround time, it is been combined here. Yes, fine. And you don't say that madam has not explained. It is not like that. I've just explained for the first one how to write. So next one I have skipped because you know, assuming that you know already how to write for each thing. Okay. Any given. So now how many algorithms we have studied for scheduling algorithm? How many we have seen? How many scheduling algorithm we have seen? 4. What are the first? What is the first one? What was the first one? What is the first scheduling algorithm? First come, first serve. What was the second one?
Shortest job.
Yes, shortest job first. What is the next one? What is the after shortest job? Next one is priority queue. After priority queue,
Round robin.
round robin. So there, how many algorithms? How many scheduling algorithms are there? There are 4 scheduling algorithms. I am stressing 100%. One algorithm will be guaranteed for your final exam. They'll give you example something like this is little bit added, because in this question they didn't say which algorithm, because it is there, because after explanation of the same algorithm I have taken the example here. But in your exam they'll give which priority, which scheduling algorithm we have to apply, and whether it is a primitive or non-primitive. Yes, based on that you have to calculate. So one is compulsory for you in your final exam. Okay, so this example we have seen for a non-primitive. So non-primitive means what? Is it primitive or non-primitive? This algorithm, do we have any waiting time here? No. Sorry, arrival time. Do we have any arrival time here? In this example, did they give you any arrival time of the process? No. We have assumed that all the 3 process has arrived ready queue at a time 0. Yes or no? Yes. So that's what here, this is what. So next example we see little bit changes, same thing but little bit change in the quantum time. So what was the quantum time in the last previous example? It was only 4 milliseconds. Now let us increase the quantum time for CPU is 20 milliseconds. Yes. How many processors we have here? Earlier we were having how many processors? Only 3. And now how many processors we have? We have 4 processors. Yes. Then what is the burst time for each processors? How much is the burst time for the each processors? Yes, how much is the burst time?
53, 17, 64.
Yes, good. 53, 17, 68 and 24 is a burst time. What do you understand by burst time? What do you understand by the burst time? Because this is the last example for all the 4. I want reply. What is the burst time? What do you understand by burst time? Yes, anyone? What do you understand by burst time? Time required to complete their job. Yes, and burst time means CPU time. How much time it requires to complete its job in a CPU? So P1 require how much time? 53 millisecond to complete its job. In the same way, P2 requires 17, P3 requires 68, P4 requires 24. Okay. Now, can anybody help me out in drawing a Gantt chart? How much time P1 will be there in the in this one? Yes, how much time this will be there? Last 10 minutes is left. Okay. We'll come fast complete. Sorry. We'll complete this example. I want the drawing. It's not coming. So okay. Now what I want, I will draw a, sorry. Okay. So what is a complete time? It starts by 0. What is a complete time? What is the ending time? Starting time is 0. Give me ending time fast. Time is running out. What's the ending time? How do we calculate ending time? Yes, how do we calculate end time? Add 53 plus 17 plus 68 plus 24. What is the time taken? Calculate all 3. How much is the time required to calculate for calculation? What's the time? 53 plus 17 is how much? Plus 68 plus 24. How much is the time? What's the time?
162, ma'am. 4.
Yeah, yes. For all the three, or for all the four, the time is 162. Yes, done? Okay. Now, what is the quantum time? What's the quantum time? For
20,
this
ma'am. 20.
50
Yes.
seconds.
So 20 seconds each processors for first time it will be given 20, 20, 20 like this. It will be split. Okay. Okay. Now come back. Which is the first process? P1. So what is the P1 time? P1 time is how much? 53. But we cannot give 53 completely time at one stretch. So then what we are fixed? We are fixed 20. 53 minus 20 is how much for first time? 53 minus 20.
33.
Yes. So 33 will be the time. What is that 33? Next time it will be given time. Where it will go? Where the processor P1 will go? The P1 will go and attach to the after P4. Yes, fine. Okay. So now after P1, P2 is how much time? How much time P2 will take? P2 will take
17.
17. 17 is within 20 or above 20?
Within 20.
Within 20, less than 20. So 17. So still 3 minutes is left, 3 milliseconds is left. Yes. So 3 milliseconds, who will come? P3 will come back. Yes. P3, how much time? How much time again?
68.
68.
68.
But 68 can we give at one stretch 68?
No, ma'am.
No. So what is the quantum time given? 20. Only 20 milliseconds will be given for 63. So after P2, P3 will be given. Yes. So again P3, not 68, only 20. 68 minus 20 is how much? 68.
48.
68 minus 20 is how much?
43.
20.
48.
48.
3.
That is what time required. Okay. After P3, P4. What is a P4 time now? P4 completion time is 24. But quantum time is 20. So how much again left? 24 minus 24 minus 20 is 4. Yes? Yes
4.
or no? 4 milliseconds. So now who will come after P4? Who will come next? Which process will come next?
P1.
Yes, P1. Okay, how much was the left time for P1? 33. 33 minus 20 is how much?
13.
33 minus 20 is 13. Again, that 13 will be given next time. Okay, now P2. Should I take P2 or P3?
P3, ma'am.
Why not P2?
P2 is completed, ma'am.
P2 is completed its job. P2 now we are not going to take. Now P3. So P3 is how much now? How much? First time it is completed.
48. 48,
Yeah,
ma'am.
48 minus. How much we have to take? 48 minus
20, ma'am.
48
48
minus
20.
48
20, ma'am.
minus 20. Okay, 48 minus 20 is how much is left over again?
28.
Yeah. So till now
28, ma'am.
28. Okay. So next P4, should I take P4 or should I not take?
Take, ma'am.
P4 you have to take, ma'am.
Should I take P4 or should I not take P4?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. How much is the time left for P4?
4.
Okay. So 4. 20 minus 4 is how much? 20
16.
minus 60. 16.
16.
Before 16 milliseconds only, P4 completed its work. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So now who will enter again after P4?
P1.
P1, ma'am.
P1. Okay, now next after P1? P2 is over. P3? P3.
28.
P3. Next is what? P3 is over. Should I take P4 now?